Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to what connects him with the murder. It is time to ask him. Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam. These boots don't match the footprints. That should do it. Now I am ready for the experiment.
Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment. The challenge of lancing a pig's carcass with a heavy harpoon.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise, yet.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes. Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believed that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner. So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance. 1883. That's the one I need. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn. Log notes for June. Nothing unusual. Log notes for July. Nothing special. Log notes for August. These pages have been torn away. Log notes for August. Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR, a torn piece from a bond certificate. I have seen this abbreviation somewhere very recently. There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883 aboard the Sea Unicorn. The first 2 of these will require speaking with a dead man. The last would be to locate vital witnesses, the sailors involved in this whale hunt campaign. These are the suspect's belongings. I wonder if these are connected. Now we have the proof that Nelligan's papers were indeed here. It seems that they have vanished, however. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, what exactly were you hoping to find inside Peter Carey's cabin?
I was trying to find some information about my father.
I assume you had another purpose, to retrieve the bond certificates. Am I correct?
Yes. I discovered some time ago that a few of the missing securities had reappeared on the London market. You can imagine my amazement. I spent months trying to find them, and at last I discovered that the original seller had been Captain Peter Carey. These papers, they belonged to my family, but I could not find them there.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.